Hey, how's it going? It's Logan from Gap Games. Today we have one of the undefeated matches from this past week's event at our local store. We have Tom here again playing Quinlan Tarkintown against Harrison, but this time it's a different Harrison from the last video, and he's playing Han Yellow. And as you can see, I put a little bit of time into improving the layout over the video. Let me know if you like it by leaving a like on this video, and if you have any other suggestions to improve it, please let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy the videos, please drop a sub to stay up to date on the future ones. And with that said, let's move on to the match here. We're starting out with Harrison on initiative with a Spark of Rebellion, and he's going to take Tom's only turn one play here, a Crafty Smuggler. So Tom's just going to take initiative since he has nothing else to do here. I think this is an interesting match. They're both yellow hero, so they're both going to have a lot of disruption, discard, and bounce effects, things like that. But it's just going to be a matter of who can pressure the other's base faster. Tom has the lower HP base, but he basically gets a free card with the Tarkintown. Being able to do that 3 damage will kill most threats from Harrison's deck. Okay, we have our first unit of the game here, Ezra Bridger, and Harrison's going to follow it up with a Bodhi Rook. I don't know if Tom actually has any events in his hand. It doesn't look like it. So Bodhi's going to whiff. And if Tom wants it, Ezra has the opportunity here to just get a free trade on the Bodhi. I don't know if he wants to play controlling this matchup or if he wants to try and pressure sooner. I feel like taking out the Bodhi, and I see he has an Ahsoka in his hand, following it up with that would probably be a good way of keeping Harrison on the back foot. We'll see what he decides on here. You can see that Harrison is taking some time on deciding his resource. Harrison is a very methodical player. He definitely thinks through all of his lines and doesn't like to rush making plays just to make sure that he can make the optimal ones. And here you see the Ezra taking out Bodhi. We'll see if he gets any value. He just discards the top card. But like I was saying, with Han in particular, you really have to think about what you're resourcing. There are so many smuggle cards and interactions with your resources. And a lot of the times your resourcing can really punish you if you're not careful. And here we see Kira actually getting a ping on this Gamorrean guards that Harrison just played. That could really set up this Tarkintown. We'll see what the Kira names. Kira names Cunning. That's a good one. Probably the best card in Han Yellow and one of the main reasons to play it other than DJ. We'll see if he goes for the Tarkintown. I'm assuming Harrison's going to claim. Yep. So that was really good for Tom. Harrison is so far behind right now, having no units in play, having a Kira that's naming one of the best cards in his hand. And Tom just got free value with that Tarkintown, taking out a Gamorrean guards with basically no investment. And now he has no damage on his base going into the 5 resource turn, which is not good for Han. If I were in Harrison's shoes, I'd be thinking about what my outs are at this point. You're so far behind going into this 5 resource turn. Technically, both leaders can deploy this turn, but Tommy, I see, has a Plo Koon as well. Like, if Harrison deploys Han and it gets Plo Kooned, this game is just pretty much a wrap. Cunning is probably one of the best ways that he could come back here. And with Kira naming it, it's going to be really hard to ever get to that point. If he tries to go up to 7 here and play a Han unit or Enfys Nest or something, he's just going to get blown out by this Plo Koon if Tom's playing it safe, which I'm assuming he will. There are a few Han players here at our store, and he definitely knows that you cannot let him live on the deploy turn. Here we see Kira just getting in for 3. Tom's just probably stalling some actions here, trying to wait and see what Harrison's going to do since he did use Han power going up to 6 resources. And here's the flip. This is going to be brutal. Here we go. Yep. Here's the Plo Koon. And this one's got to be a wrap at this point. I think I don't know what Harrison can do to come back from this point. I'm pretty sure he has a Cantina bouncer in hand, which he could use to at least slow Tom down by taking out this Ezra. Yeah, and here we see that. But now Tom can just deploy Quinlan, get in another 3 damage, and the difference on board right now is just immense. And with 6 damage on base, Harrison's 30 health base versus Tom's 25 is already negated at this point. He actually has less base health than Tom does at the moment with 1 unit in play. So he could take out this Plo Koon with Cantina Bouncer and still keep his Bouncer alive. Probably a good idea because that's 6 damage coming in. And here we're seeing him defeat a resource. Now, here in Tom's shoes, I would be thinking about what on Harrison's side he could possibly have to come back from this, what sequence of plays he could make to claw back from this position he's in. Probably something like Han Unit, the 7 cost one, or maybe Enfys Nest, because both of those units can kind of take out more than one thing on their own easily. And if Harrison can build back any kind of board presence, Han can push a lot of damage with all the pump spells that they have. So we'll see what Harrison does here first action. It looks like he's going to do the Cantina Bouncer attack into Plo Koon that I mentioned earlier. I think that's a good idea because Plo Koon pushing in 6 every attack is too much. Realistically, you're not going to be able to race that. And here comes Kira coming in for another 3. See what Harrison's follow-up is. Can't imagine anything he would play from resources would be very impactful. And he's going to Han power from the looks of it. Yep, there we go. So he's up to 7. I can only imagine that means either Han Unit or Enfys Nest is coming. And here we have a Poe Dameron. Han Unit into Poe would actually be very strong. That's a clean 6 damage that Han does on the ambush. We'll see. Kira. I also thought about he might be looking to play the cunning he has in hand, unless he already resourced it, and pay through the Kira attacks, but curious to see what he's going to do with these other 3 resources. It might be something like a waylay or just another unit. He might be looking to play a 4 cost and a 3 cost unit. And it's interesting. I like the fact that he used Han power first, if that's the case, because it's at least threatening these other things. And the fact that he's naming Poe Dameron here leads me to believe this has to be a waylay, right? Which is very powerful, and that's a very heads up play to name the Poe Dameron if he's about to bounce it. And here's 3 resources, waylay. Yep. Okay. So still not great, but he's making some progress here. Right now they both have 2 units in play. Tom's have a lot more health than Harrison's do, but a pump spell or just slowly whittling things down could let him come back here. We're still in a case where having another Han unit would be very powerful, or like I said, Cunning paying through the Kira attacks here. He's going to be on 7 resources. Cunning would be very strong. Would let him take out both of these units if he really wanted to. And here's Ahsoka. See if he discards a unit. That could potentially put a damper on things. I didn't see what he discarded, but it must not have been a unit because he's not being tapped right now. Where are we going? He's going 3 base. I guess he's just decided that this Cantina Bouncer is not long for this world. So he's just going to get in the 3 damage on base while he can and start racing. I don't know if this is a race that Han can win here. Here's Tech. Tech is a strong card, but a 2/5 right now I don't think is going to do it. And here's another Falcon. He's going up to 21 damage this turn. And with no follow-up play with the last 3 resources, I guess he probably didn't have anything else in hand because of the Ahsoka. But from resources now, he's going to be on 8. So with Tech, he could play anything up to 6 resources. That doesn't let him get a Han unit or an Enfys Nest. And honestly, at this point, I don't know if either one does it regardless, because Tom has 9 damage in play, even if 1 unit is removed. So it would almost have to be a cunning, bouncing something and exhausting 2 things. And then attacking down something else, maybe. But you might just be delaying the inevitable at that point, because Tom also has a lot of the same potential for pumping his units with blasters and surprise strikes and things like that. So being on 21, yeah, Harrison's just going to scoop it up here. I don't blame him. I don't really see a way of him coming back from that. And Tom just got too far ahead too early, but here we're going to move on to game 2. Looks like Harrison gave Tom the initiative for this second game, which makes sense. There's really no reason not to. If he's playing a 3 cost on the first turn anyway, he's going to lose initiative regardless. And if he's playing a 2 cost, he'll want Tom to play his first so he doesn't get the ping damage off. But here we go. We're going to see a Sabine to start off here for Tom. And yep, Harrison's going to go up to 3 resources. We'll see what 3 cost he has. Deciding on what to resource with Han ability. Here we go. And we have a Liberated Slaves. Okay. That's a good one. Can take out this Sabine. Would be open up to Tarkintown at that point, but I think Harrison will be fine with that trade. One unit for one of Tom's and his Tarkintown. And I see Tom has a few different 3 drops in his hand here. I don't know. He's just going to go 3 base, I'm assuming, because he knows his Sabine is probably going to be taken out. Unless Harrison just wants to get aggressive, which is also very viable. Yep. Okay. I think that actually might be the right approach. I don't know if either one of them want to be really playing too heavy controlling unless too good of an opportunity comes up. Here's a Bodhi. He's going to get this waylay, yeah. Ahsoka and red 5. So Tom's got some good stuff in hand. He could take out this Bodhi with Ezra like last game, which Ezra being able to take out a unit and survive and get value off the on attack, it just always feels so strong. You're getting basically the value of 2 cards for 1. And yeah, we're going to see him do that here. You're going to play off the top. I think it's a red 3. Yep. Yeah, here we go. Red 3. That's a good one. Ping the Liberated Slave. So now Harrison, he might want to trade into the Ezra or into the Sabine. He could take out the Sabine and still force the Tarkintown, but it's probably not going to survive the Tarkintown. Yeah, here we go. That's probably smart here. He's going to get the best value he can out of these Liberated Slaves and try to keep a board presence. Tom, yeah, he is going to Tarkintown. So he's effectively only getting 1 damage out of this Tarkintown since it only had 1 health left. But now he has full board control. Harrison's probably only going to play 1 thing this turn, and it's a Kira. That's a good one. We see Ahsoka, Red 5, and another Ezra. I think of these units, he probably wants to name the Ahsoka because it matches up in costs with his Kira that he already has in play, and it will force him to discard one of the few cards he has left in hand because he's used Han already, so he's already down a card from that. Yep, and he names Ahsoka. So Tom's Ezra survives the turn, so he's going to at least get 1 more attack with this thing, get a little more value since he took the initiative. I did see he also drew a Spark of Rebellion there, so he's still got a lot of the disruption. And this is one of those key things with the yellow hero. They have so much of it. I would be surprised if he didn't start with Ezra. Yep. Are we going to play it? I think that's a red 5. Couldn't tell, but it looked like a red 5 to me. Or no, maybe it's Cassian. Yeah, Cassian. What's interesting here, he could have played the Cassian and essentially just drew a card for free and still had up 2 more resources for the Spark of Rebellion, but he must have something else in mind. Kira going into base, so he's not worried about the Ezra value. Tom might want to Spark here. He could really disrupt what Harrison's doing this turn if he does. Or he might be waiting until he sees if Harrison's going to activate Han. That's always really brutal when you activate Han, when you have a specific play in mind, and then they spark you and take that play from your hand. No, he might be waiting until he actually attacks with Han and goes up to 7. We'll see. I think now's a good time for it. Yeah. So you don't want to lose your Quinlan to a surprise strike or something from Han. Okay, we see Waylay and Han unit. I mean, I'm assuming he's going to take Han unit. That's the 7 that Harrison's trying to get up to, I would guess. And Waylay isn't bad. Can bounce this red 3 since Harrison doesn't have any space presence right now. And yeah, we're going to see Han go away. Now, if Harrison wants to make full value out of this turn and all of his resources, he could potentially have a 4 cost. Are we still deciding? Maybe Tom's still thinking about it. Yeah. Just confirming that he will go up to 7 resources off this attack. So he's going to take Han unit. And like I was saying, if Harrison has like a tech or even a hotshot blaster, just something to use more of his resources, if he just plays only this Waylay after doing the 5 to 7 turn, that's a real brutal sequence of events because he's not getting full value out of the Han flip turn like you can. We'll see what Harrison's thinking about. Yeah, he's just going to go in with Han. He's going to pressure the base. I think this is smart. This is not a long-term winning battle with how far he's behind on card advantage and resources in general. And he's even somewhat down on units in play. We see a Zori Bliss. Did he forget Han's trigger? I think he forgot Han's attack trigger, which in the end, I don't think is going to matter too much. He's essentially should just have 1 less card on the top of his deck or 1 different card on the top of his deck. But in this particular case, he only used 6 of his resources anyway. So Still pretty good use of what he had available, though. Using 6 out of the possible 7 is good. And Zori Bliss is a big unit. A 4/7 is not easy to remove unless Tom has his own Han, and he wouldn't be able to play that until next turn anyway. And something to note is that Harrison has initiative this turn. He has 11 damage just in play right now. If he has something like a Cunning to give +4 or Surprise Strike or Hot Shot, there various different combinations of pumping his units, he might be able to take Tom out this turn. And I think they're now realizing that he didn't get the attack trigger. His resources are at 5 instead of 6, because I think he defeated 2 but didn't actually put one from the top. I'm sure they'll figure it out in a second here. Yeah, okay. So moving on, like I was saying, Harrison has a lot of potential damage this turn, and he has a lot of units with high HP, so it's going to be hard for Tom to make a big dent in Harrison's board before he can get the damage in. If he can push in first with what he has on the ground, he could even hit with like a Falcon or something if he drew one. Plenty of different pumps, like I said. Hot shot from resources maybe is coming. Yep. Putting on Han is smart, so he's going to get in for 6 right away. And Zori has more health to begin with. Uh-oh. Hopefully Harrison remembers. He needs to put a resource into play from the hot shot and from Han. Especially since this game is not going to be over right away. He just got Plo Kooned. Falcon. Yeah, Falcon's going to die right away. This red 5 attacks in for 4 with the red 3 in play. And that's actually why Plo Koon killed Zori, along with the Quinlan trigger, I guess. And Harrison put the thing there to note his Han trigger, the token, but he did not put a resource into play from either the hot shot or the Han trigger. So that could potentially be a problem as well. Looks like it's not going to matter. Tom knows that this one's kind of a lost cause. He can't get Han out of play before just getting attacked next turn anyway. So we're not going to worry about that, but we're moving on to game 3 right now. Looks like Tom has a Crafty, an Ezra, a Poe, and I didn't see the last card. It looked like he had resourced a Spark for sure. Not sure about that one. That could be really good here. Is that a Daring Raid? All right, we're going to start with a Crafty Smuggler. Han's going to go up to 3, and he's going to play Ezra. So Tom's probably going to want to get rid of this Ezra as fast as possible. You don't want him to stick around and get value. He could waylay it, or he could just attack it with the Crafty Smuggler and then Tarkintown to get rid of it for real. He's going 2 base. Interesting. If Harrison plays something off of this Ezra, that's going to offset the card disadvantage from activating Han on turn 1. And it's going to let him get ahead in actions because he's going to get his attack in and be able to play something in the same action. Yeah, right here. So now he's going to be able to claim and do it again with Ezra. Oh, no, okay. Now he's probably going to get Tarkintown. Yep, okay. So that's not the worst for Tom. He only got in 1 attack. He was going to get in 1 attack regardless. Unless he waylaid, but I don't know if that's... It would put him back, but I don't know if that's a good idea. One of the nice things about Tarkintown being used so early, though, is that now you don't even have to think about it anymore. It can just be out of your mind for the rest of the game, and you can just forget about it and know that they have a 25 health base and you don't need to play around potentially just losing a unit late game from them activating it. That was a quick discard off the Ezra. I think that was a daring raid, but I can't tell you that or a Sabine unit. We got a Gamorrean guards here from Harrison. That's a good one. Tom actually plays a lot on the ground. And a 4/4, actually, it's very notable. And this is the same thing when you're playing against Django as Han. If you have Gamorrean guards on the 4 resource turn and it can stick around, Surprise Strike on Gamorrean guards is good enough to kill the 7 health, 5 deploy leaders like Quinlan and Django. In this case, he's not going to have an opportunity to do that because it got hit with a daring raid and a crafty smuggler, but that is something notable, and that's one of the reasons why I think we're seeing more Gamorrean guards, especially for the Django matchup. Having more ways to just remove Django immediately is very important. We'll see here. Right now, these two are just racing. Harrison's just going base every time with this liberated slaves, which I think is the smart move. Again, trying to play late, trying to play the control role against Quinlan is just never going to work. There's too much disruption, and the free value he gets as far as board presence with that Tarkintown, it's just too much to take control over the match. Part of what makes Quinlan so good. So Harrison's going to have to race here. We'll see. Is this another guards? Yeah. This could put a damper on Tom's plans, but it looks like he's going to maybe waylay. Deploy. I think waylay would be smart here. He can just start really pressuring Harrison back. And at this point, Harrison's only real play would be activating Han and flipping him and maybe playing a 3 cost. But that's a lot of actions. It's very slow. So he can just put the pedal to the metal and start getting damage in on Harrison's side. He would not be able to replay the Gamorrean guards this turn either if he waylays. So that's pretty notable as well. I think I see another daring raid in Tom's hand. He could hit the Gamorrean guards with that and then crafty smuggler into it. And then that'll leave up the Ezra to attack and still have 3 resources available to maybe play something off the top. We might go with the Quinlan flip. He's indecisive right now. No, it looks like he's going to go with the daring raid. And he's doing it on the... Okay, this is smart actually, because now the Gamorrean guards lose Sentinel since there's no other yellow unit in play. So now he's removing that unit and effectively still being able to attack. So next action could be Ezra getting into base, maybe playing something off the top. Yeah. Just get the free value while you can. And we see a Cassian. Doesn't get the ping on the guards. Not the same cost. And now we have both leaders flipping. And here we see Harrison. He's probably going straight base if I had to guess. That's likely his best path here. Unless there's another daring raid, I don't think Han can die this turn on the ground. Now he's going at Quinlan. Interesting. Well, now Quinlan could just trade into Han if he wants to. Might not be a bad idea. You don't want to leave Han around. Interesting. So he's going to put 2 damage on the guards with the crafty smuggler anyway. It doesn't look like he has a daring raid or anything to follow it up, so I'm not too sure what the idea is here. We'll see. Yeah, 3 for a Falcon. That's about as good as it gets, especially having the Han resources in play to pay for it for free next turn. He's going to be able to get 3 damage in. It's not going to die to this red 5 that Tom has. So he can get in another 3 next turn for sure. Although I did see a surprise strike in Tom's hand. That could change the math here on some of these unit trades or this damage race. And actually, I see what Tom's probably setting up. He wants to likely attack with the red 5 and take out the Gamorrean guards. That's probably why he attacked it with the crafty smuggler. I know it did have Sentinel, but I just assumed that he was going to wait until he could take it out more cleanly. But this actually makes a lot of sense. He does have initiative. We'll see if he goes for that first. Yeah. Really heads up play from Tom. And now Harrison, he has no choice, I think, but to attack with Han. Oh, yeah, you got to put the damage on the base there. I think he has to attack with Han. You don't want to just lose him for free. Get in your damage while you can. And Tom's actually under a lot of pressure right now. He only has 9 health left on base. And Harrison still hasn't attacked with this Falcon. So unless he has something like a waylay, I don't think he can get rid of the Falcon in one action anyway. So we're looking at least 19 damage on Tom's base. See what he does here. He could go Cassian into Han for the clean trade and keep his unit. Could go Ezra into base. Interesting. Okay, so we're going to go hotshot Ezra into base for 5. Another Ezra on top. That's kind of unfortunate. So Tom's just decided he wants to race. He's got another 6 damage available. So he's effectively 5 short at the moment. I don't know if he can push 5 this turn, though. Like 5 extra than what he already has with only 3 resources. Ooh, especially not with Han unit coming down. Taking out the Quinlan. The Cassian's off to the side, but I'm pretty sure it's still ready over there. And it's still at full health, so that might change the math on things. He has to waylay something. And the question is, does he want to prevent the 3 damage this turn and hit the Falcon with the waylay? Or does he want to prevent Harrison just having 6 right away next turn and hit the Han? Kind of feels bad because of the whole ambush still getting value. But now here, I think Tom has to take out Han leader with Cassian and just hope that Harrison doesn't have surprise strike is basically his best out at the moment. And then I think he can win this damage race if Harrison doesn't have some kind of immediate pump. Although I guess if he doesn't have a way of removing the Falcon again, because it was waylaid, he's still going to be on enough pressure to just die next turn. So he's just going to go push damage and hope he can get lucky off of Ezra trigger, maybe. I think I saw another hot shot down there. So if he hot shots this Ezra again, he's 1 damage short. Looks like they're just cleaning up the tokens here for the base health. But yeah, this is a tough one. I'm not too sure if I were in Harrison's shoes. I'm not too sure what I would do, because if he had surprise strike, I think he just slams it. There's no point in, dragging this out. But assuming that he doesn't have surprise strike, he's going to have to decide, does he want to try to play it safe and take out the Ezra and just hope for no pumps on Tom's side? Or does he just want to push damage and make Tom have it, basically? If he's going to go that route, I think he has to attack with Han leader first, since he only has 3 health left. And then hope that nothing happens to his 7 cost Han for the last push here. If he had something like a cunning, I think he would also just slam that. That would be probably lights out this turn as well. Hot shot would be 1 damage short with Han unit. He would put him up to 24. Waylay would be very good. Can hit the Ezra with that. I don't know. I'm not sure what either player has at this point, because neither one of them are making any obvious moves. And this is definitely a tough decision here from Harrison's side, being the one with first action this turn. And without knowing what's in either one of their hands, it's really hard to say what the best move is here. Interesting. Okay. So he's going Han unit into base first, putting him up to 22. So now Tom could just take out the Han leader with Cassian. And then we know he has a Falcon in hand, but he's going to smuggle a hot shot here. Okay. If he goes base, he's basically relying on hitting a surprise strike or something equivalent. Oh no. Surprise strike was the top card that he had to put into play as a resource from the hot shot. Oh man. Yeah, that's tough. I don't know what I would do if I were in Tom's shoes there, but I don't know if hot shot into base is it. I guess if he hit daring raid, that could be the last 2 points as well, because he was only 1 short. So daring raid or surprise strike were his 2 outs to win that action. But I think if he takes out Han unit, he at least has a minute to breathe and think about what he's going to do. I don't know what else is in his hand, but yeah, that's tough. That's really tough. Really close one. I think that with the decisions towards the end there, it could have gone either way. And I guess Tom was just trying to close it out and hope for the best. But anyway, thank you to Tom and Harrison for letting me record this game, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe. I'm going to be putting out 1 or 2 videos a week, hopefully, in the coming weeks here, and I'll catch you next time.